Benjamin.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Adedayo.
Yeah, good afternoon,
I hope
sir.
your day has been great.
The day has been great. How are you? How was your morning? How was it?
Oh, it was fantastic. It's been quite good.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Same here, sir. Same here. Thank you so much for being in the call. You were even earlier than I initially planned. Thank you so much for joining up on time.
Thank you very much. That is my custom.
No problem. No problem, sir. Okay. So, Mr. Dini, I can see you on the call also. You're welcome. Mr. Olainka, I also notice your presence. You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Um, we'll just we'll just take a few moments to wait for clients to also join us on this call in a few moments. So they've received the notices. We should see them come in a few moments' time. So I just want to indulge the patience of everyone so that we can easily accommodate their presence in this time. So thank you so much, sirs. Okay. Good afternoon. I think our numbers have increased a little bit. We have some new people who have joined us. Mr. Dekunle Solomon, thank you so much for being with us. Can you just say one or two words just for us to be able to identify that you are here with us? Also, Mr. Abdul Hakim.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aditya Solomon, and I'm glad to be part of this webinar.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I can also see Mr. Abdul Hakim Abdulaziz. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so I would like us to exercise some level of patience while we wait for as many people who would be also joining us via this call. At this time, we've got quite a number of people who are coming up, and we've been able to drop a few notices for a lot on our platform. So we should start seeing quite a lot of people turn up. So, but while we join them, please, I just want us to exercise a little patience, just for the next 1 or 2 minutes before we proceed proper into the meeting. So we also have Miss Kemjika Anya, who just joined us some moments ago. Good afternoon, ma. Happy Sunday to you.
Good afternoon. Happy Sunday too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. You're the first lady in our midst. We're glad to have you. Okay. So, and I think we have quite a good number of people, and so possibly we'll just proceed to the meeting proper. Um, the initial purpose of this meeting is for us to be able to have a meet with all clients of DOFMA currently, as well as be able to speak to them concerning our plans in integrating we've initially informed that we want to integrate bee and snail uh, farm practices into the farm estate. So we're about to focus on the bee aspect, and so we want to just give us some other further details concerning those plans. And we have with us here Mr. Adedayo Stephen, who will be one of our integral partners in that particular project. So we'll be getting into that in a few minutes' time. So I want us to all have a background concerning the discussions to take place today. It's going to be an interactive session, but of course, we shall be having most discussions from Mr. Adidaya as well as Mr. Adini, who is with us on the call. So, um, once again, welcome everyone powerfully, and let's begin. Thank you so much, Mr. Adini. I think let's proceed from you today.
Hello, sure. Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What did you ask? I didn't get that very well.
Okay, I said we'd like to proceed from you. Possibly just give us behind the introduction that I made. You just proceed from your angle before we bring in Mr. Adedayo Stephen. So, um, just as a brief introduction to everyone who has joined us in the call right now, Mr. Adini Ishemi is the CEO and founder of Tough Integrated Architect Services. Quite a couple of us are quite familiar with his name or know him personally already. So, while Mr. Adedayo Stephen is also an integral partner of the B. Okay, and Mr. Partner of the bead system that we're trying to incorporate. He's also the CEO and founder of Old Dial Ventures. So he is with us here today so that we can all have the run on and the rundown to all the processes involved in us successfully integrating this system into Dogma Farm Estate. So, Mr. Dini, over to you, sir.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good
I
evening,
hope.
sir.
Oh, sorry. Good evening. My brain is overworking. That's okay. So good evening, everyone once again. Well, I'm glad to have everyone present. We would have loved to wait for as many people as possible, but then we're going to eventually have to see everything happen as fast as possible, so we don't waste the time of everyone precious on this call right now. Um, Over about a year, almost 2 years now, we've been actually vying towards a 10-year project, and this is the second year in the 10-year plan. And over this next 5 to 10 years, we want to ensure that we're able to achieve some primary goals and some secondary goals. Primarily, Cashew and Plantain are our forefront. But when you have partners that you want them to be successful at something, one of the things we actually do is to ensure that we put measures. Uh, if you've been in the agriculture sector for as long as we have, you would and you were you allow sector to teach you how operations work and not you fantasizing. You understand that you don't jump time and processes. Everything that ought to happen at the right time must happen at the right time. You jumping those processes would only end in fatal failures, and sometimes it become like a wishful thinking at the end of the process. And we don't want that to happen to any of our clients, and that's how we've ensured that everything is our processes. We've worked alongside every client right from the moment you get the land. After the land, you get the land, then you start the nursery. After the nursery, then you start the planting. After the planting, then you start contemplating how to expand and integrate the farm. There are a lot of ways to integrate farms, particularly cashew and plantain, but the primary ways that would not give issues are what we've proposed. And two things we told you in the beginning that you'll be learning how we're going to integrate snail and bee into the farm. Why these two commodities or why these two products? It's because they won't affect significantly the primary product, which is plantain and cashew. It won't significantly affect this product. They would only complement this product. For example, a snail requires certain level of shade, certain level of this plantain leaf as part of the materials in keeping their house and habitats real. They need this feeling of nature and forest, and then this come when you're actually you can't even get you can try to recreate it wherever you are, but it's you can't replace it. When a snail is in a natural habitat where there's a lot of green and a lot of forest activities, it speaks differently. They know, and it allows them to thrive. And a good example is we have, of course, we manage certain snail farms across Lagos, and then we also have our own personal snail farm. Now, what we noticed was the one we're managing, the egg productions were lower than that of the ones we're managing privately. Now, the difference in the two places is that the one we are doing privately, of course, it's intensive, but it's free range in itself. But then we created an atmosphere where there are short trees for them that they see themselves, and we allow them to roam the way they want. And then we ensure that we keep the atmosphere natural habitat as much as possible. Every day there's as much as possible. Every day there's severe waiting. The trees, we allow them to roam through the trees without caution. There's no cover. We try to mimic as much close to the natural habitat as possible. Well, we try our best for the other ones that we manage, but those ones are systemized already. What we realized was that the egg production for the two systems were quite different. Ours were they were laying egg to the point where we are now like, oh no, 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 this is beyond our pilot, because we always run a pilot to ensure that we are able to learn from that pilot. Our pilot was over successful. Now, even much more than what the field, the ones in a confined space are doing. Of course, these are all part of what we got to learn that natural habitat improves the success rate of the snails. Now, coming to bee as well, you can't even you don't raise bees, you don't create bees. Unlike snail and they are not easily domesticated per se. So what you do with bees is likely that you make the habitat friendly and you attract them to that place. By attracting them, if you do a good job, a lot of them will come to that place and colonize the system that you've created to make life easy for them. If it is not good, then typically they don't want to come where you are. So in bee farming, you want to pay close attention to how these things are done. And this is why we have Mr. Adedoyo here to help us understand it. Mr. Adedoyo have over 5 year experience in this space. He has multiple cluster of units he works with. He trained them, he works with them. He is a multi-level buyer of on from several smaller units producers. So, and he's coming on board as our official partners to both help our client understand how this works, set up the system, and equally watch it grow. And of course, he's placing a very close eye on all the operation alongside with us. He's going to be serving as a consultant to ensure that nothing goes wrong even throughout the production period. Now, of course, you'll be learning more deeper things, but to ensure that we don't overshoot this introduction, I'm going to keep my pen down at this point. Thank you. Sure.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think your background intro has already been well gotten by everyone, and I think at this point in time now everyone is easy. It's easy for everyone to connect with our efforts in creating a pilot system as well as ensuring that there's going to be a success for the B system as well. At this point in time, I want to bring Mr. Adidayo Stephen, who would also be engaging with us in a panel section. So he would be briefing us as well as be open to many other inputs from others from here. So Mr. Adidayo Stephen, I hope you're here with us.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Uh, I I greet everybody present in this platform right now, standing on the system protocol. Good evening to everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay,
We can hear
We
you,
can hear
sir.
you.
okay,
Proceed, sir.
thank you. Anyhow, thank you for this privilege and this for the partnership. My name is Stephen Nadidayo, the CEO of Odayo Agrala Ventures, and the producer of multifloral natural honey, and then the director of African Bee Institute of Agriculture. I'm fully into beekeeping for production of natural honey and other bee products. Beekeeping, as far as I'm concerned, let me just the first thing I will talk about the introduction to beekeeping. Beekeeping, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the most lucrative business. Even if I will say is the most lucrative business to me because one, beekeeping is not time demanding. You don't need to say, "Ah, I want to go and check my bee. I want to go and clear the house. I want to go and feed them." It's not. You don't need to feed them. They feed themselves. It's not time demanding. It's not labor intensive. It's not capital intensive like other things you may think of, other sectors of agriculture you may think of. And it's one of the most lucrative business, I mean, sectors of agriculture. Like, for instance, imagine I want to produce a bottle of lacasera. A bottle of lacasera is 150 naira. And if I'm to produce, I have to mix something with something. I have to pay the labors as well. So that means maybe my cost of production may be 100 naira, and then my profit will be 50 naira. But in beekeeping, I think a liter of honey now, a liter of original honey is around 3,005 to 4,000. Let's say 3,000 naira. Now, if I pack a bottle of honey, I don't know, maybe you might have come across our product in some pharmacies or supermarket before, multiflora nectar natural honey. Now, a bottle of honey is at the rate of 3,005, and in that 3,005, my cost of production is just 100 naira. The bottle and the sticker. That's all. The bottle and the sticker. And unless, if at all we are to bring other logistics to place, okay, transport and others, let me say 500 naira. Then that means I have 3,000 as profit. So beekeeping is a business that you have 99.9% as profit. And then imagine you go into fish or whatever, you have to start buying feed and feed, and they feed themselves. And then beekeeping, one thing about beekeeping, integrating beekeeping with other sectors of farming, like we are about to bring it into our cashew plantation and the plantain plantation. We all know about pollination, and the bee is one of the most powerful, is the most powerful agent of pollination. So any farm you have bees, you are keeping bee and you plant other things, it increase the yield that you get from that farm compared to when there is no bee there, because pollination will be taking place fast, both self-pollination and cross-pollination. So that is a simple introduction about the business. The business is so lucrative. And then about the demand, about the market, the demand for honey is higher than supply. You can go online and check out for the statistic. We consume like 200 tons of honey every year in Nigeria. 200 tons of honey in Nigeria. And all the beekeepers in Nigeria, we only produce just 2,000. So if we deduct 2,000 from 200,000, you see that the interval is so wide. That means the other components that make up the consumption of honey is the fake honey, the adulterated honey, the imported honey, the diluted honey, the monoflora, and other types of honey we have. And that is why this is a very wide margin for us to make a cool money, and then at least to solve the problem outside there. But so many people consuming honey outside, they are consuming fake honey. And then another advantage we have now is that, we at least we are into cashew plantation and plantain plantation. Now, if you are talking about cashew or plantain, before you can start thinking of bringing something reasonable out, that will be 3 to 5 years. But beekeeping, if you set your beehive today, after if you set a beehive and let's say your beehive gets colonized today, because we are going to do the settings and everything, the waxing and the baiting for you. After everything, if your beehive colonized today, in 4 months' time, you have to start harvesting your honey. You don't need to wait for 2 or 3 years. And you have to at least minimum of average of 2 times in a year you harvest your honey. Now, let me take for instance, imagine you have one beehive and the hive gets colonized. Now, average honey you can get per harvest is like, let me say, at times we get like 40 liters, 30 liters, but let me say 20 liters from one hive per harvest. and you are meant to harvest that hive 2 times in a year. Now, that 20 liters, so that means you have 40 liters of honey for one hive in a year, and averagely, in a worst case scenario. Now, and then a liter of honey is 3,000, let's say averagely 3,000 naira. Some people in Lagos, the one I supplied, our agent in Abuja, they are selling 5,000. Our agent in Lagos, they are selling, I think they are selling 4,350, but we supply them at a rate of 3,000 naira. Now, we have 40 liters of honey from one hive in a year. And then we sell, let's say you sell at a rate of 3,000 naira. 3,000 multiplied by 40. 3,000 naira multiplied by 40 liters of honey. That is, what do we have? Hello, are you with me?
We are, sir.
Okay, thank you. Wait a minute there. Okay. Now, 3,000
120,000.
120,000. That means you'll be generating one, because this, it have to be an interactive house so that at least we can reason and know how we are going to go about it. That means you will be getting 120,000 naira from one hive. And then imagine if you are setting up farm, you cannot just put one hive. Like now, at least I have up like 1,000 hives in my farms I have around. Now, this is how it works. And one thing is that, this is agriculture. We only calculate the money, we don't calculate the risk. Some people, when they go into it, they calculate the money, they don't calculate the risk. And I think this, with this platform, we will be able to analyze everything one by one. At least by God's grace, I have like 20 years experience in this business. I inherited the business from my family, and that's all we are doing in the family as well. Uh, so now imagine now you have like 10 hives. But the one thing is that we always encourage people to have more than one hive, because setting big hives is like you are creating accommodation for the bees. So they will choose the one they want to be living in. If you set 10 accommodation, they will come around, they will check, okay, no, I like this one. Oh, this one have flat. Oh, this one have is self con. No, I don't like self con. I like face me and slap you. So they will choose the one they like. So that means when you are setting big hive, you don't set one, you set more than one, so that they select the one they like, so that you two will be at good advantage. You have the added advantage. And then having it in our farm, as I said, and the demand is there. I was telling Mr. Nee that even when you produce, we can be buying everything from you. Say no, you like to be marketing on their own. So to tell you, the demand outside there is crazy. But people need natural honey, but what they are getting is fake honey. They cannot get it. So, and then now, another thing is that only what people know from bee is just honey, honey, honey. Do you know that there are some other products from bees that is more lucrative than honey, but people are not aware. Now, I know some of us may know honeycomb. Or the honeycomb, after you have extracted the honey from the honeycomb, then the residue, the honeycomb beeswax, there's a way we met it and we convert it to honey beeswax. Now the beeswax, a kg of the beeswax is 3,000 naira. And then now the beeswax, the demand for the beeswax is higher than supply. People order for the beeswax, especially they export it out of the country. And that's another thing. Another product from the bee that is lucrative, as we call it, propolis. The bee produce something black we call propolis. If that we have the ability to meet or whatever they did, I will show you the propolis how it looks like. You can go online and check all these things. The propolis is lucrative as well. Then we have the brood, we have the royal jelly. Then there's a way when bees sting you, when you're being stung by bee, they pass venom into your system, and then that venom, the venom is not that harmful. There's a way we extract the venom and people pack it and sell. They use it to cure cancer, for any form of treatment, because the venom, once the venom gets into your system, it acts like an antigen that help in secretion of antibodies, which enhance the immune system of our body. So now, one thing is that there is a lot of byproduct of the bees that people are not aware. We only know honey, and even if at all we focus on honey production alone, there is we are good to go. The demand is there, and demand outside there is so hot that we cannot even meet up. I know people that have up to like 10,000 hives, and they are still struggling to meet up with the demand. Like today, I think I've sold up to like 100 liters of honey today. Today that is Sunday, and I have many farmers with supply. And that's why we are happy to have you on board as well. So, hello.
Yes, sir. What with you, sir?
Now, you, sir.
Now, that is the introduction about it. Now, I know we will like to know, okay, fine, what are the risks that are attached to this business? Uh, the bitter truth is that every business have risk, but what matter most is that how do you mitigate the risk? How do you manage the risk if at all there is risk? Now, the primary risk we have is that now imagine you set like 10 bee hives in farm and then you get like five get colonized. I mean, colonized means that bee enter. Now, and you may be bothered like, why is it that bee did not enter the desk? Now, what happens is that when you set up your bee hive, it's not at the same time that bee will enter all the hives. At times, maybe the first time you may first have two hives, three hives, four hives. Over time, the hives will get colonized. But there's something we have this experience, so we have these challenges over years. So what we now came up with that the way we mitigate is that we do anytime we are setting up farm, we do something we call waxing. What people are aware of, people only do what we call baiting. That means baiting is a method that you put in place to extract, to attract, to trap, to invite the bees, into the hive. But we now, because of what normally happens, that we may get some hive not colonized, we now go into waxing. So waxing is that we get the wax, we wax it, and then we use it to attract the bees to come into it. So over time, there's a lot of things we put in place so that over time we get almost all the hive get colonized. Now, another thing quantity, about the quantity of honey, about the quantity of honey being produced. Now, we have four types of colonies. We have strong colony, we have weak colony, we have active colony, we have dormant colony. Now, the type of colony you will have, I may have my own hive and harvest 20 liters of honey. You may in your own hive you may harvest 40 liters, and in another person's hive you may harvest just 5 liters of honey. So it varies. The type of colony you have will determine the quantity of honey that you will harvest in your hive. Now, when you have active colony, okay, when you have active colony, they produce fast. Even when you have active colony, you can harvest like four to five times in a year, because they produce very fast. Then when you have dormant colony, they take time before they produce. They take time. Even over the year, you may not even get up to like 20 liters of honey from the whole hive throughout the year. So, but when you have dormant colony, dormant clothing, they are slow in production. The active clothing, they are not that much, but their production is very huge. So that is a active colony, and then that's about that. Now, integrating uh cashew plantation with beekeeping. This is the added advantage. You will agree with me that other plants like mango, cocoa, whatever, they flower from, let's say, from the first rain of the year, let's say from April, May, June, July. That's when they flower and the fruits. June, July, August, September, then November. That's when they fruit, that's when they flower. But there's something special and unique about cashew. Cashew flower when other plants are not flowering. That is January, February, March. Now, integrating beekeeping with cashew plantation. This is the advantage. Now, we are not after the planting the cashew, we are not after the cashew juice. We are only after the cashew nuts. Now, when you plant cashew, when the cashew mature, number one, the bee will be able to get nectar throughout the year. January, I mean, let's say March, April, May, June, July, August, September, November. When cashew is not flowering, the bee can travel as far as possible to get nectar from other people's farms that are close to you. Now, when other people's farms that are close to you are not fruiting again, then they come back to the cashew. That means do this integration, you can be harvesting honey throughout the year, because the proportion of the available nectar will determine the proportion of the quantity of honey being produced by the bees. So that means with this our cashew plantation, we'll be able to provide the bees nectar to produce throughout the year. And the another advantage is that the quantity of honey being produced will be much, because now if the cashew drop, we are after the cashew nuts, and we only go for the cashew nut. Maybe the juice have rotten, then you go there for the nut. Now, when the cashew mature and drop, the bee will go to the cashew that is on the floor. it's already getting rotten. Then they will extract the water, the juice, and they will use it in placement of nectar instead of going around. That means they have enough nectar. They will use it to improvise for nectar and use it for production of honey. And if you see honey from cashew, it have a very sparkling color that is very good, that have a very market value, a good market value. So that is the added advantage of having integrating cashew farming with plantain plantation. And then, mind you, as they are extracting the nectar, extracting the juice, then indirectly or indirectly they will carry the pollen grain from the anther of the plant, and then indirectly, unconsciously, they will drop inside the hand, inside the stigma, and the pollination will take place, and then there will be high yield production in that farm. So that about the part of the advantages that we can get from integrating it. It increase our yield, and then we can get high quantity of honey as well, and even a good quality. Because now what we have now is that we have this type of honey. We have monoflora honey and the multiflora honey. Now, one thing about monoflora honey is that when you have one type of plantation in your farm, that means the bees will get nectar from one plant, and then they will use it in production. Imagine we plant ordinary cashew in like 200 acres of land, and then the bees will just get nectar from ordinary that cashew, and then the honey we have only one taste. Now imagine we have this our plantation with cashew and other plantation, and that means the honey being produced will be multiflora. Now, that honey will be of high efficacy compared to honey from monoflora. Like in the north now, the honey being produced in the north is, we call it monoflora, because in the north, if you have someone that have like one, let's say, 100 acres of land, they specialize in planting a particular. If they want to plant rice, they go a particular community will go for rice. But in southwest here, if only one person is having one plot of land, you will see cashew, you will see mango, you will see pawpaw, you will see this. That means the bees will get nectar from all these things, and the honey being produced, we call it multiflora, and it's of high efficacy compared to monoflora. So that is how that works. Now, let me now talk to how we can go about the business. Now, we have many types of hives that you can set up in your farm. We have traditional hive, we have traditional hive, we have modern hives, we have Langstroth hive, we have Kenya hive, we have giant hive, we have standard hive, we have Tanzania hive, and so on. You can get others, but we have a lot of differences between them. Let me pick the Langstroth hive. The Langstroth hive is now the modern hive. Okay, is the modern hive, and in that modern hive, there is a ready-made honeycomb inside, which we call foundation wax inside the hive. So once the bee gets the hive colonized, they will go straight to production. They will not start taking time to produce comb again. They will go straight to production, and then when they go straight to production, that means it will make it faster. It will make their production faster, and then you can have a good quantity of honey within a short period of time. Now, when we are talking about the other part, we call it Kenya hive. That is the normal one, the common one we use here. It's like the traditional hive as well. Now, what happens is that in Kenya hive, it's like a box, it's like a cage. It's like a cage that we put in hive in farm. Now, when that one gets colonized, the bee will now start producing comb. They will produce the comb. After they produce the comb, then they will now start getting nectar to produce the honey. That's the difference between the modern one and the Kenya one. Then we have the Tanzania one. Then we have others, but I think we have to talk about the Kenya and the modern one, which is the Langstroth hive, Ibada. So we can think of the one to go for. But it's a lot of differences between them.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Anything with advantages have disadvantages. Now, the Kenya hive. Hello?
Continue, sir. Continue.
Hello?
Continue, sir. Continue.
Hello? Okay. Now, imagine you want to buy one. Huh? Hello?
Hello, we are hearing you, sir.
Okay. Now, one Langstroth hive, a complete Langstroth hive is around 70,000 to 80,000 naira. The way we import, they don't produce in Nigeria here because of the foundation walls and the frame and all that. Is I do say that as well. We sell it if it's incomplete one, we sell it 70,000. They complete with the goodness scooter and everything. That one is around 80,000 naira now. Now, but the Kenya hive is with the full package, everything is 20,000 naira. The Kenya with the stand, the hive, and the roof completely. Everything is 20,000 naira. But that one, ordinary the hives around 80,000 naira. So now what we advise now, like the money how we used to buy one of the land plots, I can use to buy to five of the Kenya. Then I set only one land plot in farm nice with almost 100,000 naira. You will be discouraged. But imagine I set like four hives and one get colonized. From that holy one, imagine from one hive the other time, we calculated like 120,000. From that one hive that get colonized, you can recover your cost of production of other hives from that one hive in just one harvest. And then now, the hive we produce in our company, like we have a factory where we construct hive, have supply many. Now, any hive we construct and set up for you, at least it will serve you nothing less than 30 years. So that means, imagine I have that Kenya hives and I am getting like 120,000 from it, and then that means the 120,000 continuously for be made with hardwood. We have a specialized wood that we make use for that. We have a afara, we have oma, we have mahogany, but majorly I make use of oma because so that it can stay long. I have hives that have served me for like 15 years now, and they are still serving me. So that is but people like when you get money, at least you have started making money, you can think of okay, I want to go into modern hives and the Langstroth hive, which is you get more production. And then anything with advantage, as I said the other time, if you are making use of the Kenya hive, mind you, I said in the modern hive, which is the Langstroth hive, there is a ready-made honeycomb which we call foundation wax inside. And I told you how lucrative the wax is itself. So that means the bee will not have the ability to produce wax again. So now, if you are harvesting the modern hive, you have to go with empty foundation wax, which is the artificial comb. You will take the one that they have already donated on the inside, and you put another artificial one inside. So you go and extract it with machine. Then when you are going next time, you go with that empty and still take that one. That means that comb will serve you over years. Now, when you are operating with the local one, which is the Kenya one, when you go there, you harvest the comb. When the comb is being harvested, then you take it to a machine as a honey presser. We use honey presser for the Kenya, while we use honey extractor for the modern hive. Now you have to press out the honey, then you now still convert the comb being produced by the local hive into beeswax. But that means in the modern hive you will not have avenue to get beeswax. So and that's the advantages and disadvantages. So and the beekeeping now the future plan we have in this is that let's say we by 5 years time when our cashew have stand well, we will now transfer the hives at least on one. If you have ever seen a mature cashew like 10 years before that have a very wide canopy, on one cashew we can put like 5 hives, we hang it, we suspend it on the tree. So that time our farm can accommodate a lot of hive by that time. But for start now, from one cashew can only put one hive. Can put one hive, and then I know we would like to know okay, for 1 acre how many hive we can put. Now it varies. There are some 1 acre that you can put like 20 hives, and there are some 1 acre that you can put like 30 hives. Because when you are positioning your hives, there are some factors to consider. Now you have to consider the availability of shade. You don't need to set your hive in a open ground, but after one acre can take an average of let's say 30 hives. Now you can decide like if 1 acre can take like 30, your farm can take as much as possible. So that is that, and there is market for it. So that is how it works, and that is that about that. So and then another thing, another risk we face in the industry is like imagine a farm being set in a place that maybe in a place that there's no security. People now know the value of honey, so people go into the farm, and people that know about it. Imagine you a live wire for somebody to cut a live wire. That means somebody that know about it. A main man like me cannot go there and go and cut a live wire. So people go to the farm and steal the honey. But at least with this integrated farming, because that was the first thing I experienced when I started this business. At least the first farm being set for me by Central Bank. When they set up the farm, when it was time to harvest, we went there, chief don't enter the farm, and they harvested some of the farm and the honey and everything. But later over years, what I'm doing now is that I think the other time Mr. Ni come around and they around our farm. What we do now is that we are doing irrigation farming. We are planting cucumber, we are planting pepper. So activities is going on the farm. Day in, day out, we are at least every day we carry honey to the. I mean, we carry plantain. We have plantain farm. At least right now in our big farm, we have like 70 acres of plantain farm. So activities every day, they go there to cut plantain, they go there to harvest pepper, they go there. So people are working there. Even today, I just came back from farm, like check up what is going on there, and boys are there. So now when the farm is active, and thank God for technology, you can set up solar CCTV camera there to monitor what is going on in the farm. So those are the two primary risks that may occur: the colonization of the hive, getting the hive colonized, and issue of theft. So which and that those are the way to mitigate, to manage the risk that may come up. So I think let me stop now, because I know you will have a lot of questions to ask. So thank you very much for the precious opportunity given unto me for this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is very interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you
sir.
very much, sir.
This is
This is
very
very,
enlightening.
very
I believe that
enlightening, I believe.
many people
I
who have
believe that
actually
many people
listened,
who
have actually taken notes, would see that there's quite a lot to
have actually
be that
listened and have
are quite
actually taken
new.
notes would see that there's quite a lot
I think
to
at this
be
aspect,
that
it's only
are quite new.
positive that it
And
synergizes
I
with
think
most of the
at this
investments
aspect, it's
that
only
quite a lot of
positive that
investors
it
have currently,
synergizes with
which
most of the
only
investments
goes to
that
provide
quite a lot of clients have with us currently. So it
as many
only
people who
goes to
have
provide benefits to as many people who have investments with us currently. So thanks to all what Mr. Adedayo has said. Now is the time, just like you rightly said, now is the time when you could ask questions. We believe that questions might have popped up in our minds while we were listening. And so, for as many who would want to use the in-call messages platform, you can use the in-call messages platform to quickly type out your questions and they'll be asked here by us. Also, now that it's time for the little Q&A, you can also do well to ask your questions
directly
directly
since the
uh,
session for it
since the
has
session
begun.
for
So
it has begun.
please,
So
for as many
please, for
people
as
who
many
would want to ask the questions, please
people
uh,
who will want to ask the
just
questions,
go ahead
please
to unmute your
uh,
mic and
just go ahead
we'll
to
take it
unmute
one
your mic
after
and
the other. So
we'll take it
who will
one
go
after the
first?
other. So who will be going first?
Hello, good afternoon. Happy good evening.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Proceed.
Yeah, my name is Abdul Gafar Bangbola. Yeah, I want to I want to know what are the conditions that will make you said there is something that will attract the bees to the comb. Is it possible that if there is another farm that is being a bee farm around that area, is that possibility that the bills probably the next farm has facility that is better than our own? Can they steal our own bee to their side, or whatever bees that is in your side, it will remain there? There is nothing that will take it out of your territory to another territory. So what I'm trying to get is that you have to be. Is it possible that if you have a bee farm, you'll be careful? If there's another bee farm, then you must be more participating to make sure that your bees didn't go to another place. I don't know if you get my question.
Yes, I got it. Now, no, what the primary things the bees need for them to remain. If I'm living in a particular accommodation, The only condition that will make me to remain in that accommodation is that is up to my taste. I'm satisfied, I'm comfortable there. Now, immediately the bees see they find a better accommodation that is better than where they are living. They are just like human beings. Why once you discover there is okay, imagine you are living in Fisherman and slap you, and you now discover there is a safe corn and there is light and the place is okay, you prefer to move out of the place to another place. But only what you have to do is that you have to be checking your farm, make sure the accommodation, your bee farm is up to date. You are checking, is the roof not leaking, is this and this, is the bush not too much around the hive, is the insect not having direct contact with the hive and other things. So once you are putting all this in place, the bee, they have already produced comb in the hive. Before they can take the decision of moving from one hive to another, that means they have something threatening them in that place. So the bee in my house, imagine you set two bee hive very close, let's say 1 feet interval to themselves. The bee in A can never mistakenly enter the hive in B. The colony, the bee from hive A can never mistakenly enter hive B, because they know they are like family, they know their body hold on. If a stranger from another family enter their hive, they will kill the bees immediately because they will see that one as intruder and it's a thief that want to steal that. So you don't need to be, only what you have to do is put your farm in order, and then in case of necessity there may be a condition that warrants them to leave. Now that's why you must always have empty hive in your farm, enough hive. If I thought they leave from one of your hive, maybe they are having problem that you do that is not feasible to you, that is not significant to you, but is important to them. That means they will leave from one of your hive to another of your hive. So if you have other bee farm in you don't need to be threatened by that. So once, and then with this our cashew farm, they will always remain in our farm because they will always come for the cashew juice to extract. If I thought the bee from other farm will even come to our farm, because once they perceive the cashew, they will come around. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you so much for that magnificent question, Mr. Bambara. There's a question in the in-call messages asked by Mr. Tunde Okidura. It said, good evening. Once an hive has been colonized, how often does it produce honey? He said he joined late, so possibly he might have not been aware of when you disclosed that in the beginning. So, please, Mr. Dedayo, I believe you've gotten the question. Let me take it again. Once an hive has been colonized, how often does it produce honey?
Now, thank you for that question. Psychologically and technically, well, let us beekeeping. Honey is still part of agricultural produce. So now, any agricultural produce have time for sowing and harvest. Any agricultural produce deal with climatic condition. Now, you can't just go to your beehive and say, I want to harvest today, I want to harvest tomorrow. You have to study the climate. If you plant cocoa, there's time you harvest, there's time you spray, there's time you do this. Likewise, the same thing in beekeeping. Now, and then mind you, the honey we are about to harvest is their personal food. I know some people have this mentality that the honey na their shit where they carry, where they chop. Don't be their shit. Like is their personal food. Now, like a part of the book of, in the Bible or in the Quran, in the book of Quran, it say, ye listening go to the hunt and learn their behavior. Now, because when there is incense, what the bees does is that when there is flour, when there is water, when there's enough flour, they gather nectar. They convert that nectar, they suck the nectar, they regurgitate it out, they ferment it out, and they use it to produce honey. Now, in the process of taking in the nectar, the enzymes, some digestive enzymes in their system have mixed with the nectar, which help to break down the nectar to reduce the glucose level, and then the honey will have higher level of fructose level. Now, mind you, they now stock it because it have antibacterial and anti-inflammation materials inside. Now, it will not get spoiled. Now, during that period, they will be feeding wholly on pollen grain. They will stock the nectar. They are stocking the nectar for when there will not be, when they don't have food to eat, when there's no nectar, there's no rainfall again, there's no flower. Now, imagine the first rain of the year. I want to break it down so that you can really get your question very well. The first rain of the year is from, let's say, March. Imagine if we have the first rain of the year by March, April, May. Let's say March, then that means rain start falling by March, then April, May, June. Rain will be falling continuously. That means from May to June, they will keep producing and be stocking. They will keep producing. That time they were June, July. In June, July, there's continuous rainfall whereby the bees cannot go out. Even that's when you have continuous 3 days rain, continuous food day that even we women we cannot go out. So now during that time, they will now start hitting the honey they have stocked for from March, April, May, June. They will now start feeding on that honey. During that time when they are stocking, they will not feed the honey, they will stock it. Now, as a good beekeeper, the best time to go for harvest is the ending of, let's say, from May before June. You have to go there to do your harvest. And if it's a very strong colony, from March you have started, like now, I've already started harvesting. You start harvest. So that means your first harvest in the year, you go, if it's a strong colony, you can harvest February, you can harvest March, then another one, May, before June, July. And when you are doing the harvesting, remember that is their food. If you pack all their food, they will leave the house. There's a technique we use to do mapping. You know they want to carry, you carry part to leave part for them to survive. So that is one. That is, let's say you do harvesting April, May, or let's say first week of June. Now, another harvest that after June, July rainfall, they will now feed on the remaining honey and survive, whatever. By August, there is August break when the rain stop and then the sun come out for 2 weeks and then that time you start having big rains. Now, during that time, then August, September, October, November, they will keep stocking again for December when there will be harmattan. When there will be harmattan, the weather will not be that conducive for them to go outside to go and get nectar again. Even that time, there is already dry season. So they will now be stocking to survive for dry season. So as a good beekeeper again, you go there again between, let's say, October, November. Then you'll be studying the harmattan before, once you perceive that there is harmattan, you go and do your harvest. So now, December, January is their reproductive period. Their reproductive period, that's when the queen produce much egg. So when you go there that time, you will not be able to get much on in that time. It's not even good time for harvesting. So back to your question, we normally go for harvest from April, May, June, first week of June. Then another harvest again. You go by October, November, probably December. If the harmattan, like this year, the harmattan start fully by January, so we still harvested in December. So some hive last year, because the harmattan delay, we harvested like 3 to 4 times last year. So we study the weather. The weather determines the production and the quantity of honey. And there are times when there is much rainfall. When there is much rainfall, it normally affects the production of the honey as well. Have effect on it. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So in other words, the harvest is dependent on just how active each hive is, and also based on the season that you want to carry out that particular harvest. So I believe that Mr. Tunde has been answered. Please, it's time for Q&A for as many people who have questions. Please do well to either ask them here once we allow you to unmute the mic and speak, or you could also ask them through the. We have another question on the income message from Mr. Sunday Okediron. He said one more question. In a plantain farm, once the bees damage the plantain fruit, so he said in a plantain farm, once the bees damage the plantain fruit. So, Mr. Didayo.
Okay, thank you for the question. The bees, they are only after the nectar and the pollen grain. They don't have anything to do with the plantain fruit. What the bees are after, they are only after, they want to extract the nectar. They extract the nectar which they use for production of honey, and the pollen grain which they use for production of bee bread. So they don't have anything to do with it. They can't even trim the fruit. They don't have anything to do with the fruit. They enhance the production of the plantain in the area of pollination. So they don't damage it. They enhance the production. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think that's also clear. So bees don't go after the fruit; they're after the nectar, and then that's it. So, do we have any more questions? Anyone? The floor is open. You can either unmute your mic and we take it after one another, or you can ask the question through the in-call messages provided by the teaching platform.
All right. I think I had a question. And I'm asking this because I want the client to get the answers to it. So basically, Mr. Idayo, from your own experience in the field, like how long does it take to break even on and investing into bee farming? Take for example, a client use about 600 to a million set up their bee production. How long is that client looking to recuperate all the value he had placed in terms of financial values he has placed into the farm? So what should that client be looking at as a point of return or a period of return, full return? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question once again. Uh, from the simple analysis I made the other time, uh, I think harvest, from your first harvest, you are meant to break even from your first harvest, because if at all you don't make profit from your first harvest, at least from your first harvest, you let us go by using only one hive. As in, okay, let's say you set up like 10 hives, and I said one hive cost like, let's say 20,000 for the complete set, and the 10 hives will cost you like okay, let's talk about 5 hives. You set 5 hives, that is 100,000 naira. 100,000 naira. And then in a worst case scenario, because agriculture is very deep and is very sensitive, and at times things may not work out the way you plan. So I always calculate that risk for people. Now, you set 5 beehives, and in a worst case scenario, only one hive gets colonized. Only one hive get colonized. And then I said, from the analysis we made the other time, if only one hive get colonized, and we said we'll be getting like average of 120,000 for that one hive, that means from your first harvest, imagine you have 2 hives, that means you have like 240. That means from the first harvest, there is probability to break even from the first harvest, even if you don't make profit. But there's a high probability that you are going to make a good profit, and it's going to be a continuous one. Imagine I go into vegetable plantation. After 1 year, I have to replant again. But that hive, once you place that hive for the next 30 years, you will keep on, just go there. You calculate your harvesting period. It's April. Let me go there to harvest. You go and harvest. Nothing added, nothing removed. And then, so from the first year, there's probably breaking in from the first year without losing anything from the investment.
All right, thank you so much. So I get that if you go into the production from your first harvest, you're supposed to break even. So then, basically, are you saying now that the hive construction and the hive itself is the only cost there? Of course, we are bringing you as a partner, and then of course you're not doing it for us for free. It's very important that we note that clearly. As a partner, of course, you're coming to install these things. Obviously, they are for a value. I know as much as we've known each other for a while now, I'm certain you're not here to joke with your skill sets. So, what are the list of costs? Of course, you don't need to necessarily give us the nitty gritty in terms of ABC charge this, A charge this, A charge this, but give us a list of things that we might be spending on. If it's the cost of hive, cost of installation, cost of security. At least I think I've actually heard from you already in this call. Cost of installation, cost of hive, cost of security. Are there any other cost again that we should have in mind? Because if we commonize the list of things we want to put in place, of course it may make it sit this way, because of course we're still going to prepare a document for our clients for them to read, and we want to make sure that when they are getting this document, it doesn't deviate from what they've learned from you. in this call. So, what are the costs outside this trade that I've picked from this call that clients should also expect that might constitute the overall cost of producing their or setting up their beef farm?
Okay, thank you, sir. Uh from I mentioned the other time we have many types of hives, and I said for startup, it's advisable to make use of the Kenya, which is the full package with 20,000 naira, and then what made up the package is the beehive. You are going to, from that 20,000 naira, you're going to have the beehive. We give you 20 top bars. Then we give you the hive roof. There will be a roof on top. It's going to be part of it. Then we give you iron stand. So that is the component of that is what made of the 20,000 naira, inside the 20,000 naira. Now then inside of the 20,000 naira, we are going to give you 1 kg wax, beeswax. 1 kg beeswax is around 3,500 now. So it's part of what we are going to buy. So because that wax is what we are going to use for waxing. 1 kg for one hives. Now that waxing, once you wax the hive, at least if you don't bait the hive again for the next 1 year, the bees can still perceive it. But after waxing, we have to get wax, the fresh wax to bait again. But waxing, we have to do that one for new hive, new plank we use for construction. We have to wax it. So that's the component. That's the component of the package. Now installation. These are the factors to consider. One, transportation. I don't know where we are to transport to. So anytime, anywhere you get it, we talk about okay, where are we? Are we transporting down to the Ogun State, to Ife, to Lagos, whatever? So I can't say anything about that now. But installation, at least we will be the one that will come around. We carry the hive from whatever transport. Whatever is being dropped by the car, whatever. Then from the farm, we take it there, we install it. After we install it, we set the hive. We invite the bee into the hives. So installing one hive costs 2,000 naira. We go there, we install it, we take care of our transport and everything. Installing one hive, but you will be the one to transport it down to the farm. So that means roughly like 22,000 naira for one set to set it up and to invite the bees into the hive. So now another thing is that if we set up the hive, because the hive gets colonized naturally, there is artificial way of getting them colonized. So we try that as well. But if you now set the hives, maybe after 1 month, some hives get colonized and some are yet to colonize. What we do is that we repeat the process again, maybe let's say once in a month. So during that time, we don't buy wax again. You don't buy wax to get to wax. We can only get like raw wax or honey to just rub and then beat. So I think the full package altogether will be roughly 22,000 naira to set it up in your farm, anywhere your farm is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Please, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I joined late and I found this very interesting. I want to ask, please, will the recording be sent to us? Because I miss quite a lot of things and I don't want to ask a question so I don't sound very stupid. Because that's usually what happens to people who join meetings late. Because they'll be asking questions on what was discussed 30 minutes earlier. But for me, I need clarification about this beehive thing. I was thinking in my mind that it will be set up on the farm, that we bought. But I really don't know what our guy just responded to. Is he saying that you can be invited to help set up the beehive somewhere else apart from the land we bought in Odeda or the one at Oshogbo? I think I'll just stop here. Thank you so much.
The best position to answer. Basically, your farm is where the bee hives will be set up. But we don't have just one farm, right? We've got farm in Ife and we've got farm in Ilaro, Odon, in Ogun State as well. So typically, what we'll be doing is just like as the last time we discussed about the snail. Once the time comes, because right now the first thing is your plant has to be in the ground. right? They are processed, as I said, in the beginning of the call, which of course we're going to send you the video recording and probably even the podcast as well will be shared. So that in case you don't have the time to sit with the video, you could just plug in your hands free and then listen to the podcast of the whole session as well while you're maybe muting or you're probably transporting yourself from one place to another. So basically, this farm, all your farms are going to have this as long as you subscribe to this. This is an open tour. As I said, our primary product remains cashew and plantain. But then to ensure that you don't have to wait so long to break even on those projects is why we are actually bringing all of this integration into it. We have two major integration, which is snail and bee farming. This is bee farming. Shortly, you will be having another webinar like this that will be talking about snail extensively. Now, this is what you will be having. So, as long as you subscribe to it early, we're going to do it on a rolling basis. So, it depends, particularly for bee, your farm has to have come alive. When we can't start the bee farm on a farm that is empty or a land that has no plants in it. So, in Ogun State right now, starting from this week, we're already transplanting from the nursery, cashew from the nursery. Then we're going to first up populate a 9-acre land, then go to 13 acres, and then move that to I don't 50 acres before the first half of the year is done, and then also in Ife as well. So what we are doing is we are trying to ensure that we help as many clients as possible, even start their farm. For clients that are very, very consistent with their payments, our plan is to help them set up their farm in advance. Of course, we will discuss method of operation, but we plan to set up farms, clients that actually are very consistent with their payment. We plan to set up their farm in advance. Those clients get to benefit from things like this because once the plant is in place, the Mr. Adedayo can be invited, provided that you've actually made provisions for the bee installation and coming to your farm. That's why I wanted him to be very clear on the cost, and he had been able to explain that aside the hive costs, installation costs, transportation costs, and security costs, these are the core four things that would be required to set up a beehives in anyone's farm. Of course, he talked about a reinstallation system where in case after a month or two, your farm refused to or your hives refuse to get colonized, and to ensure that is not the case, you might have to redress those hives with wax and honey, and until we are able to successfully bring them down there. He also made sure that there's some artificial means. Of course, these things are going to cost a bit of charges. So we're going to, our job is to make sure that with what has been said, we draft out a brochure that would be able to address all of this. Very short. You already know what we are trying to achieve here. There's no end of long talk. Just get straight to the topic and let you know what capacity you're looking at to go into if you want to start this. But like I said, the primary thing is your plant has to be in the ground. They have to start coming up, and except they start coming up, you can't put a beehives in an open land. It's not gonna work well for them. They're going to be subjected to weather shocks and all of the rest that would reduce the production of this bee in producing their honey. So this is the summary. I hope I was able to address all that you are currently looking at. Probably when the video comes to the recordings, you'll be able to get more details. Is that okay, ma?
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, of course, we'll be having a lot of discussion. We are looking at not overshooting time. This is supposed to be an hour, and it's an hour and 15 minutes. Mr. Abdul Hakim Abdulaziz said, "Good evening, please. We do hear something like bee stinges with people around the hive. Please, how does this work? I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think I can answer that one for Mr. Adedayo perfectly. Uh, it's a mechanism for bee, right, to stinge people, right, and they do it on few occasions to repel strangers, to ward off competitions, or to protect their environment. So as long as you're not infringing any of these things, you don't. And of course, those that are going to be actually have protective covering. If you look at our flyer very closely for this program, you realize that Mr. Adedayo was actually putting on a protective covering of some sorts in that stuff. Of course, that is normal. If you're going to a beehives, that is important. Of course, if we're also going to be giving you taking you to the farm, of course, we will naturally have to make sure that in a way there's access to protective coverings as well. So in case you want to have a good, clear interactions with the bee on the farm, so that in case they feel like you're a stranger, they don't just go by stinging you up and down. So all of these things are things that are there, but at the same time, it is normal. As Mr. Ida has said in the beginning, our job is to attract them. And of course, it's a win win situation as these bees will improve and increase production. And that is it basically. Mr. Ida, I can't thank you enough. We met last year, and it's been productive. Both seeing you in person, do what you do, and even hearing you say all that you do. For those that equally want to go beyond their farm, because it's very important, we are not always stingy with our partners actually, and we believe that what we do with them, you can also do with them. Of course, he actually said in the beginning that he actually offered to buy all your honey. I just told him that we already have clients. And if you remember vividly from the very first day you guys came on board our project, we told you that client has never been our problem. And that's because market is one of the first things we actually work on before we start bringing people in. And he's still on the line anyway. The moment I say, okay, oh, no, 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 okay, we can. Well, I think we can come around on something. Probably have maybe a quota that goes to him for setting up the farm and helping everyone ensure it's successful. Probably we can come on to an arrangement where a quarter of the harvest goes to him as well. Because that only further deepens our relationship with Mr. Adedayo, and it further makes sure that we are able to get the best offer from Mr. Adedayo. But typically, we equally have clients in the diaspora as well that they've missed Nigerian made honey. But at the same time, we won't get ahead of ourselves because no client, no market is always ready, and that's why you have to have multiple source of market to ensure that you're never bound to one. A mono market or a singular market can be exploitative, and we know that all too well, and that's why we are actually always having to expand our pool of potential partners. So basically, we are very glad and very grateful to Mr. Adedayo for being able to push this whole knowledge and this wealth of experience over 20 years is not a small sort of years. The business was inherited, as he has said, from his family. So it's a transgenerational project for them and the business. And we're very glad that I was able to share his beat to it, because if we give him the whole day, I can assure you guys that he's gonna have a lot to say as regarding this, because it's in the blood at this point. It's not more just a skill set, it's a blood thing. So that is it. We are so happy. You guys will be seeing him. In case you have other lands, other farms that are outside the one you have with us that you want to set up into a bee farm, you want to make it into a bee farm, let us know. We'll share you privately Mr. Ida's contact so you can have him come inspect the land, inspect the farm, and set this up for you, and also become your market as well. I know he's going to like that so much as well. So he can set up for you and then do that as well. Out of all of this, we are very grateful for the current clients that are in our stream. Your date of assignment is already in the pipeline. So in a couple of weeks, you get it. We always do a lot of back and forth thorough checking. So, but we started working on the current date of assignments in late March, and then you should get it in April as early as possible. Our tour is coming up next Saturday to our Ogun State farm. Osun State will be announced shortly afterwards. But we are going to Ogun next Saturday. If you want to make it there, kindly indicate on time so that you won't be left behind. We've started transplanting our plantain into the ground for some clients that have finished payments. We equally started transplanting cashew into the ground as well. So of course, if you want to see how that is happening, you can come around for the tour and see how that is happening. Everything is gradual processes. We are not about the noise. The noise is how a lot of people have been defrauded in the agricultural system. There's a lot of noise, and those that make it are those that attract the most people. However, if you attract money that you don't have a plan for, you waste such money. And that is why our marketing is very selective, because until we need an expansion, we try not to call in more people as much as possible. So we don't have more than we need, and we have optimally what we need at all points in time. So try and be involved. We try our best to keep you involved as well, and try to, of course, to trust us. If you have any questions, kindly ask us all the time via the group, privately, whichever works for you. You can even take up call and call us. We'll always be there to answer as much questions as possible. And we'll keep bringing such interactive content to you. Last month was all about insurance, and a lot of you know how to go about insuring your farms right now. And this month it's all about the bee farming. And next month, of course, we also have some things in the pipeline that will get you one step closer to being an expert in the field you've poured your money into. Soon enough, you won't just be anywhere and not be able to speak about things you do. You'll be able to speak about all the multiple chains of resources you're building to get wealth in the future. Thank you so much everyone for coming around. I really appreciate everyone. Mostly important to our clients. Awesome to Study Dario Steven for his precious time with us. We don't take that for granted. If there's another question, leave those questions for us in the WhatsApp group. We will pass that along to Mr. Adedayo. He will answer it and come. Sada, is there any farewell word you want to give before we close the meeting group? Are you there, Mr. Adedayo?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you.
What I want to say is that no farmer, no nation, and the beekeeping
Definitely,
is life.
definitely.
Exactly. So
It
if
is.
we take away the bees, if the bees are taken away in 5 years, there will not be life. There will not be any human being again because the
There will
bee
not be
are the
food at
primary
all.
factors that help in pollination. Yes, there will not be
Mm-hmm.
life again
Pollinating
because
and picking
because
things up.
there will not be pollination and there will not be food again. So that means bees is very important to our life. We have to keep them, protect them, and guide them. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We are just so grateful for your kind words, and that farewell words were as powerful as they are important. Of course, that's why those that do be United Nations bee farming is one of the very core things about United Nations mantra. If you notice, if you look at them very well, climate change, which is SDG 17. One of the things that is wrapped up under that SDG 17 is how to preserve big community and to ensure that we don't take our climate down. Deforestation, we use that so that we don't send these guys down. And once they go down, we all go down with them. And thank you, Mr. Adayo, for pointing that out. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for coming around. We really, really like and appreciate the gesture, the trust, and all of that. Have a wonderful Sunday evening.
Holy Father,